Partnering up with Goonhammer and Joe from War Games Live to bring to you the greatest Streamhouse RTT ever. We've gathered the strongest competitors out there. Quentin Johnson, Kazra Hushidar, Adam Camilleri, Mark Perry, Nick Nadavati, Richard Siegler, John Lennon, and current ITC champion Jack Harpster. These brave warriors are going to duke it out for you over a double elimination format Thursday, March 30th through Sunday, April 2nd. 15 games, 11 rounds, all streamed to you on the Art of War YouTube channel. We asked our friends over at Goodhammer to seed us and put us into a bracket, and then in reverse order of seed, we drafted factions. 8 top players, 8 different factions. We've even partnered with Away Games, who's professionally painted 2 beautiful sets of Art of War specific terrain. That's right, we're creating our own Art of War tournament terrain set. Watch live, and not only can you catch the action in real time, but you'll be entered into a raffle to win prize support from our wonderful sponsors, objective markers from 3D6 Wargaming, Army Painter Mega Sets from the Army Painter, Warp Fire Minis, Big Bear 3D, Table War, and so many more. Keep an eye on the Art of War YouTube channel for daily list reveals starting Wednesday, March 15th. All games will be available for rewatch for our War members at any time. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Art of War stream. I'm your host, Nick Nanavati, and I'm super excited because today we're going to be revealing my list for the Streamhouse RTT. That's right, you just watched a whole little trailer about what the RTT is and who is going to be there and all that jazz. Well, now is the time to reveal the greatness, because we all know this list is going to win the whole thing. We all know I'm going to win the whole thing. I was actually once king of the Streamhouse myself back in 2021, and you know what? I let Richard Siegler have a shot at the throne out of my good graces. But enough's enough. You know, the kids got to know Florida needs its rightful ruler king back, all right? So, a lot of things going in my mind when I was thinking about this army list, right? So, I'm thinking about my bracket, I'm thinking about the matchups, I'm thinking about different options. So essentially, my round one is Mark Perry and his World Eaters. Okay, at least it's fairly simple, right? Like, World Eaters are a good faction, Mark is a great player, but World Eaters, they move, they punch, all right? Not rocket science to solve how to fight them. Next, we get into kind of variations. We're either playing against Kazra Hushidar's Ultramarines or Jack Harpster's Harlequins. Now, Jack's obviously very good. He's the #1 ITC player in the world as of 2022, that season, and he's playing Harlequins, which are a phenomenal army, even with this nerf, I promise you. And Kaz, on the other hand, many of you may not have even heard of him. Let me tell you, I have been coaching this man for like a year and a half. He is a fiend. He is a monster. He is playing Ultramarines, which historically have been a garbage faction, right? So his player skill was being covered up by this terrible army he's been playing. Not anymore. Ultramarines are good. Holy crap. I am eager to see how Kaz unleashes these forces upon Jack, and hopefully Kaz wins. Man, that would make Papa Nick proud. But anyways, after I get past World Eaters, I'm either fighting Harlequins or Ultramarines, and they pose very different problems to a Demon army, and all of them pose different problems to like World Eaters pose. And then after that, I'm gonna have to go on to the other half of the bracket, and I'm gonna fight Siegs, I'm gonna fight John, I could fight Adam, I could fight Quentin, Grey Knights, Craft Worlds, Tau, Chaos Knights. It's the Wild West out there. So where do you even start? I had 4 different army archetypes I was considering for the RTT. 3 of which I had never actually played before, and 1 of which I had. So the army archetype I had played before was basically my LVO style list, where I had Fate Weaver, Bloodthirster, Scarbrin as the 3 big guys, some troops and Nurglings to back it up, and then 15 Flamers. Now, of course, since LVO, Flamers have gotten booted right into the next dimension. They're still quite playable. Mondozine runs them very effectively. But I'm looking at my #2 potential round over here against Jack's Harlequins, and I'm thinking, man, Flamers are so bad versus Harlequins. I went from auto-hitting to hitting on 4s. And now Harlequins have a aura of -6-inch range, which my army hates, or like Flamers hate. Their 12-inch range goes to 6, so just not going to shoot. So Flamers don't seem like the choice there. My other 3 options were Mono Zinch. Mono Zinch is a great anti-meta pick right now, a lot of guns in the game. They have some terrible matchups like Deathwing Terminator spam. They are not super great into the Blitzum armies like Orcs that are doing really well. They're a pretty interesting team army, I will definitely admit, where you can choose not to play those things. And in the singles environment where I kind of don't know what I'm playing, they're a little bit less attractive to me. In the bracket style system, it's not open field, It's not teams. It's kind of, I have a sort of path of who I'm playing. There's only 8 players in this tournament. I know what factions they're bringing when I'm submitting my list. So I'm looking at it. I'm playing against World Eaters, and I'm very likely playing against Harlequins, very potentially. Mono Zinch is not great into those matchups because they're very weak in close combat, and those armies are all about close combat. If I can get on the other half of the bracket, Mono Zinch is awesome versus Siegs' Tau, Quentin's Craft Worlds. But I'm on the wrong side to take advantage of that. So kind of ruled them out. Then we have Mono Slaanesh, which is a new and up-and-comer, right? They are an army that's been talked about in the competitive circles, really starting to see some results play. I even put it on the table in a practice game against Adam's Grey Knights while he's staying in town with us. And it's just not for me. I really think it's a strong army. I think it's a great army. It doesn't shoot. It doesn't really psychic. It doesn't fly. And like all it does is move and punch people. And like I said, World Eaters are very predictable. I just don't want to play a game like that. My third option was a homebrew, which I still am very interested in, but I opted out of it. Basically, this one is just spamming demon troops because we have some very, very points-effective troops and we can deep strike them really effectively. Plague Bearers and Horrors are both amazingly durable versus different targets. And then Bloodletters and Demonettes are super fast and able to contest objectives and tear down some banners. Demons have a naturally built-in passive secondary game plan with Reality Rebels, Warp Ritual, and Raise the Banners. So I'm basically just trying to camp on that and then dominate you on primary, especially with sloppy Bile Pipers. The challenge with this army is that it lacks a lot of raw power, which is a little bit dangerous into this meta, especially when my first opponents are Mark and Jack. Mark and Jack as players love to capitalize on you for getting too cute. Capitalize upon me for getting too cute, right? Like I'm a tricksy, janky player. I like to find cool combos in lieu of raw power. Unfortunately, when you do cool, tricksy stuff, you are kind of vulnerable to your opponent just stepping on the gas and running you right over. And I was afraid if I brought an army of like 90 troops and 2 sloppy Bile Pipers, they would just see that as weakness and press the gas button. So instead, I settled on a variation of my LVO list, which you can see right here. We got Bloodthirster, Warlord with the Brazen Hide, Anger at the King of Blades, and Indomitable Onslaught. So he's going to be not suffering hit mods, amazing versus the Harlequins. Flat 3 damage on the sweeps, amazing versus the World Eaters. Awesome dude, 5 Feeling Pain makes it that much more difficult to actually hit the face cap, really get some overcommitment from my opponents. And of course, the face cap is just amazing. It makes him what he is. It's not amazing in the meta of singles because Guard are a faction that hate face caps, but in this tournament, there's no one playing Guard. How lucky did I get? Fate Weaver, he's the boss, he's the man, the myth, the legend. He opens up so much for me. He's the psychic phase damage. So Infernal Gateway, Bolt of Change, 2 great spells. He can also smite with bonuses to cast coming in late game, getting stronger. He upgrades as the game gets on and on, whereas like a normal Lord of Change takes damage and downgrades himself. So that's a huge part of why I prefer Fate Weaver to a Lord of Change. The other part is knowing all the spells means he can early game farm me Warp Storm points and then mid game transition into damage as I need it, which is a really nice combo. And then finally, he's got that access to the Agents of Vex strat, the demon version of it. So I can use this on an enemy strategy and make it cost 1 more. Why is this useful? Well, against Jack's Twilight Harlequins, I can make the 1 CP strat to 6-hit auto wound cost 2 CP. So that's very unaffordable after a certain point. Or I can make the 1 CP strat to reroll hits and wounds versus Slaanesh stuff 2 CP, which I'll probably still use it, but at that point it's costing him a lot. I could make extra damage cost 3 CP, then, he's doing that exactly 1 time. A lot of options there. In my Mark Perry World Eaters game, I got 3 great options. First one, Fight on Death. Second one, Interrupt strat. Third one, 4+ Deny strat. I can turn off his ability to effectively take away my Psychic Secondary, or I can make him pay a lot of CP to try. So all those are great, and Fate Weaver just, gets me access to that. He himself is also a great backup Warp Ritual guy in case people kill my Trance Weaver, whose primary job is, of course, to just go get Warp Ritual in a lot of games. But she can also raise a banner, and she can cast Delightful Agonies to give Feeling Pain to my Slaanesh units. In the troops, we got 2 units of Bloodletters and 1 unit of Plague Bearers. I really like having 4 units of OBSEC troops. I also have 1 unit of Nurglings in here because I find them absolutely mandatory to play 40k with these days. 4 units troops is really nice because it lets me have 2 tough units on my home field objectives to keep them from getting contested, while I send 1 unit of Bloodletters out of reserve and Deep Strike charge onto my opponent's side with a 3d6 pick the 2 highest charge, usually contests the primary and rips down the banner and maybe even kills something. I've opted out of that 4th troop. I might regret it, but I made points for more violence because thinking about how this list used to play with Scarbrand and Flamers, taking out Scarbrand and replacing Flamers with Fiends, which you can see I have 3x4 Fiends over here, is not quite as much offense, and I don't have access to the Corn Warp Storm like I used to for +1 attack, so I just needed to make up more offense in here. So I cut 1 unit of troops for a unit of 10 Seekers. So I have 3 units of 4 Fiends and a unit of 10 Seekers to make up my Slanesh stuff. That is 68 wounds with Feel No Pain, or not all with Feel No Pain, but 68 wounds of Slanesh stuff, and I can put a Feel No Pain on 1 unit at a time. 3 units of 4 Fiends I find really nice. It's not an over-investment. It's more than that 3-man, which I think just doesn't actually connect as much as it needs to. 4 seems like a good sweet spot to me. I'm pretty happy with that. Unit of 10 Seekers. This is kind of like my makeshift utility unit. By cutting Scarbrand, I unfortunately lost a lot of raw hitting power. Now, thankfully, I'm not playing against Deathwing Terminators where I would need raw hitting power to just clobber them all. Instead, I'm playing against a variety of different things. So what the Seekers offer me is the best place for bang for buck reroll hits for the 1 CP strats Slanesh have access to. They deep strike, they're innately +1 to charge. So let's say I use Demon Warp Storm leadership stuff to get you down to like leadership 6 or leadership 7. Those charges are likely but dicey. With +1, it's not so bad. Really helps. And then, on a worst case scenario, I can try to hit like a 7 or 8 inch charge out of reserve, which isn't the best, but it's not the worst. 60 attacks coming off of these things, 1 CP reroll hits. What more do I need to say? The last thing I'll say, of course, though, is that their base sizes are hilarious. They have these weird cavalry bases, which sucks that they can't go through terrain, but everything else in my army pretty much can, the troops and the elites. They have access to 1 CP 6-inch pylon, 6-inch consolidate, which can really go deep into my opponent's lines, engage a bunch of stuff, survive longer than they should with Feel No Pain, contest objectives, move block, obnoxious stuff, tie up the enemy, kill a bunch of stuff. It's absolutely a utility unit. And then to round it out, I've got 1, 2, 3 skull cannons. These things are autonomous. I can leave them alone and forget them. They're not really easy to kill through toughness 7, 4 up, invul 9 wounds. They're certainly not worth it to attack compared to like a Bloodthirster, Fate Weaver, or Fiends. So I'm hoping they just kind of escape by and shoot for 5 turns. If my opponent does shoot them, that is such a terrible ROI for them, return on investment, because of the amount of time it takes, the amount of effort it takes, the resources it takes to bring a skull cannon down. And then when you consider the offense that it takes out of my army, it's like negligible. It's like an autocannon type thing. D3 plus 3 shots, strength 8, AP 2, 2 damage, ignores cover. It's okay. With 3 of them adding up turn after turn after turn is how I think I'm going to replicate some shooting damage since I have no flamers. But I'm hoping with 3 of these plus Fate Weaver, I can participate at the range game, certainly outshoot World Leaders. For a time, I can play a range game with Harlequins. That's kind of like my goals here. And then at the end of the day, being demons is all you have to do. I don't mean that facetiously. I mean, like, literally, Reality Rebels is a secondary you just score points on by existing with demon units. So having things like skull cannons to create more demon units around the table, deep strike them if you want, really, really good. They're okay at combat. Like it's a bunch of strength 5, AP 3, 2 damage. It's not bad. They move block. They tag stuff. Like, an army can be so obnoxious and it just passively scores points. So I'm hoping that this gives me all the tools I need to slaughter my opponents first, Mark, then either Kaz or Jack, and then I move on to the rest of the brackets. Wish us all luck, everybody. The demons will need it, but I expect to be triumphant in the Streamhouse RTT. You can follow along through the action, right? So we're doing daily list reveals. You're watching this one today. Tomorrow we'll be revealing 4th seed Mark Perry, 3rd seed Richard Seether, 2nd seed John Lennon, and of course 1st seed Jack Harpster, each one releasing one per week this week on our YouTube channel. I think it's incredibly offensive they put me as 5th seed. I mean, like, I'm former ITC champion. I've won 2 WTCs back-to-back. I'm the guy, but I'll show them. What can I do besides be upset about it? Nothing. So I'll show them. I'm going to show you next week, 2 weeks from now, next week, when you watch this. So stay tuned, everybody, for daily list reveals. Thursday, March 30th, we're kicking things off. We got Joe from War Games Live coming in hot to augment our production capability with his stream expertise, and we're going to be showing you all the latest and greatest. It's a 15-eventer tournament, 15 games this weekend. We're streaming 11 of them to you. You can watch live. If you're a War Room member, you get entered into a raffle automatically to try to get free stuff from all of our various sponsors. As if that wasn't enough, War Room members will also get to rewatch the content at any time in the future, and we're going to be doing bonus analytical content on all of the stream games as well. So there's tons of stuff to do. There's tons of games to watch. There's so much to analyze. These are literally some of the best players in the world getting together and duking it out in a tournament for all of the stakes. I mean, the winner of the Streamhouse RTT gets crowned king of the Streamhouse. What more could you possibly want? All of the bragging rights in the world. That's literally everything. All right, everybody. Wish me luck. We're going to need it. Demons are awesome. We're awesome. Fate Weaver has prophesized my victory, and that means it's bound to happen, of course. Like this video. Leave a comment telling me how awesome I am and how awesome these demons are and why we're going to win it. Or if you disagree, you know, you heathens that you are, feel free to leave a comment about who you think is going to win the tournament and why, what you think about the list, what you would play if you were in the tournament. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We produce tons of 40K content just around this. And if you're interested, now is a better time than ever to get into the War Room. We're offering a 3-day free trial right now where you can get access to all the content, watch all the games on Rewatch, watch all the analytical pieces we're going to produce on Rewatch, where we break down all the games in short form. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we will catch you later.